Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are digging into a really powerful critique of our modern economic life. It argues that this relentless chase for productivity, well, it might actually be the very thing that's holding us back from being truly prosperous.
Okay, let's just dive right in with this quote because it gets straight to the heart of the matter. The whole argument here is that our economic system's answer to pretty much any problem is for us to be, well, less human. You know, to just push aside our needs for connection, for rest, all in the name of efficiency.
And that brings us to what the source material calls the productivity trap. This is a huge challenge to a belief we've basically been living by for over 200 years, this idea that maximizing productivity is and should be our ultimate goal as a society.
Now, this is the core economic dogma that's being put under the microscope. I mean, from Adam Smith all the way up to today, the theory has always been that as technology makes us better at just surviving, we're freed up for other, higher pursuits. But the big question being asked here is that what actually happened, or did we just end up trading one set of chores for another and lose something really important along the way?
Think about it. Thinkers like Keynes, even Marx, they saw a future where technology would give us tons of leisure time for art, for community, for just growing as people. So what went wrong? Well, the argument is that this vision got totally sidetracked by a system that funneled all that amazing new efficiency into corporate profits and just endless economic growth, instead of into our well-being.
Okay, so if that promise of more free time was broken, what are the consequences? What are the symptoms of this broken system? Well, the evidence we're going to look at suggests that the main ways we measure success, the numbers you see on the news, they might be hiding a much, much deeper social decay.
And this just captures our main metric perfectly, doesn't it? Gross domestic product. The critique here is that GDP number go up is like the ultimate shield. As long as that number is climbing and the stores are full, it's really easy to just dismiss any deeper social issues. But is a rising GDP really the only thing that matters?
And this is where you really see that central tension. While that big economic number goes up, these deeply human crises are pointed to as proof that something is fundamentally broken. These aren't just isolated issues. They're presented as the direct results of an economic system that basically forces every single person to put market productivity above everything else.
And this critique doesn't stop at the office door. It follows us home. The pressure to be productive is so everywhere that our hobbies are now side hustles and our vacations are just content for our social media feeds. The view here is that there's just no space left to just exist without it being monetized or optimized. To really make this point hit home, a personal story is shared about a day spent doing things with absolutely zero economic value. But these things are essential for human connection and our own mental health. This simple act of just being is framed as a kind of radical act of rebellion against the constant demand to be productive.
So, with all that laid out, what's the solution? Well, it's not some new government policy or a fancy new app. Instead, it's something that feels like it goes against everything we've ever been taught about progress.
And there it is. That's the crucial point. Instead of trying to find new ways to optimize every second of our lives, the proposal is to intentionally bring back tangible, necessary, and maybe less efficient work into our communities. The goal is to rebuild our society around human needs, not just economic outputs.
Now, what's really fascinating about this slide is how it completely reframes a huge social issue. The argument goes that the birth rate crisis isn't really about social movements, it's about economics and urbanization. See, in a modern city, kids are often a huge economic burden. But in this proposed communitarian model, where a family might be growing its own food, suddenly children become a necessary and integrated part of that family's survival and success. And this isn't just some vague idea. There's actually a potential roadmap here. It starts with something really simple and grounding, growing food, that naturally creates local jobs and real community bonds. And that, in turn, could give people a sense of purpose and belonging outside of the corporate job market, which would hopefully reduce that desperate competition for low-wage jobs.
So, where does this path actually lead? Well, it leads to a fundamental rethinking of what we even value. This isn't about rejecting material comforts, not at all. It's about reprioritizing a different and maybe more essential kind of wealth. To illustrate the current system, we get this really stark example. A man working a grueling 12-hour day, washing trucks for just $120,
This is framed not as an opportunity, but as pure desperation. The argument is that in a less desperate, more community-focused world, that same labor would have to command a fair wage, because people wouldn't be forced to take any job just to survive. In this new vision, how we think about a successful company would be totally flipped on its head. Instead of a company bragging about how many low-wage jobs it created, its real value would be measured by its innovation and by whether it makes things that people genuinely need and want.
And really, this is what it all boils down to. This is the core message of the whole argument. The ultimate goal isn't just a different kind of economy, it's a huge shift in our focus, from just accumulating things to building strong, stable communities. Because at the end of the day, true wealth has always been found in human connection and in our reliance on each other. Which leaves us with this final, really big question to think about. If GDP isn't the right measure, if the stock market isn't it, then how should we truly measure the health and wealth of our society? Is it in our collective happiness, the strength of our families, the stability of our communities? This whole argument really forces us to stop and think about what we're all working so hard for and whether it's truly making us rich in the ways that matter.